Hey, Security Token Market, welcome back to another interview here at the Digital Assets and Securities Conference. I'm joined with Sanjaya Krishna, who's the COO of Aerlink. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Aerlink and what you've been building.
Aerlink is focused on digital transformation of the aviation leasing sector. We've been around for 21 months. We are an angel stage company. We are actually two of us right now. We've built a couple of proof of concepts initially around enterprise blockchain. So a common interface for aircraft lessors and lessees to exchange lease-related information. Currently, it's done via attachments to email, and the big step change that happened before that was getting off of faxes. So now we've got a proof of concept that says, hey, here's an interface that you all can share information, record it all to a common shared ledger on blockchain. We also built an analytics dashboard for aircraft lessors to have better visibility into the utilization of their assets. And we have recently started to focus on another aspect of aviation leasing, which is the securitization of aviation assets. So periodically, aviation lessors get planes off their books by securitizing them, just like a mortgage-backed security, the underlying assets of plane. And institutional investors like pension funds are the ones who typically buy the debt tranches of those securities, but those securities are not liquid at all. They're your classic illiquid, opaque securities, and they have great yields. Only institutional investors, quibs, can invest in them right now, and what we want to do is create a market that initially at least lets the quibs get in and out of them for a much cheaper price than they do now, because right now, basically, it's calling a trading desk. There really is no market, and the price discovery is all with the person who's buying and selling them at the trading desks.
So why airplanes?
Aviation leasing is a major area. In fact, aviation lessors provide a very important source of liquidity to folks who want to run airlines. Half of the planes, nearly half of the commercial passenger and cargo planes that are in operation today are owned actually by aircraft lessors, not owned by the airlines who operate them. And that's actually equates to about $500 billion worth of assets.
Wow, that's fascinating. And where does your passion about the aviation industry come from? Is it just this opportunity?
It is this opportunity. 21 months ago, I had no understanding of aviation leasing, but luckily my founder and business partner, Finn Mulligan, has good roots in aviation leasing, as well as two of our advisors for Aerlink, one of whom, Bob Janice, is sort of a wise owl of the aviation leasing industry.
Fantastic.
Lots of people.
So let's talk a little bit about how blockchain kind of creates this opportunity for the securitization of these assets, or even tracking the data. Like, where do you see this huge opportunity coming from?
The opportunity for blockchain is the immutability, and it's the decentralized trust. I actually, as I've gotten into this more, really think that any business ecosystem of partners benefits from blockchain in terms of how do you all trust a common record of information that's immutable. So instead of having a centralized person, sort of third-party referee, housing data for all the partners, and then they have to continuously get audited, and instead everyone's got their shared ledger, or their node on the blockchain that's got the shared ledger. They all have the same information.
Right.
So I think it's just really the fundamental value proposition of blockchain works because it's a community where people are doing business together in an ecosystem, but there has to be a level of trust. And the fact that there's decentralized trust with blockchain makes it very, very attractive, we think.
It also allows you to have real-time data for your platform, right? And the fidelity of that information, because it's all tracked on chain.
That's right.
It's another added value.
Absolutely. And when it comes to actual airline transactions, so planes get sold between lessors and other parties, and there's no concept of title in aviation, really. So every time a plane gets sold, and a commercial plane may have 30 years of life, and if it's started off as being a leased asset, it might get sold 5 times in its life. Every time the plane gets sold, there's a repeat review of documents from all the prior sales. So by the time you get to sale 5, you're paying for review of not just the relevant information to sale 5,
right,
but re-reviewing everything from sales 1, 2, 3, and 4. We believe that at sale 1, that documentation gets reviewed, you hash it on the chain. When you get to sale 2, you already know that this stuff has been looked at from sale 1. If you don't trust it, find an original document, compare the hash, you'll know that what's on the chain is the real thing.
That makes a lot of sense. And here's a question for you regarding the securitization of these assets. You mentioned that the aviation rental industry is incredibly illiquid.
Yep.
Do you see these tokens, when you eventually securitize some of these assets, to be traded?
Yes, absolutely. So the securities themselves, the debt tranches, are out there. If you can actually tokenize those and make them tradable, absolutely the liquidity will increase. So right now, say I'm an institutional investor and I bought $20 million of tranche A aviation ABS, and 2 years later I need to get out of some of it. I have to call a trading desk in order to say, hey, I need to can you help me? It's a very, very manual process. And that trader will ultimately say, hey, I'll take it off your hands for 9.8 million, and they might turn around and sell it for 10.1 million, and they keep the 300 for themselves.
Interesting.
And we want to create a market where there's price discovery. You can go out and say, I've got 20 million, and here's what I'd like to be offered for it, and people will come in and bid on it, and affect all the trades. And then you use companies like Vertalo to keep track of the ownership information integrated to an ATS where the trading's taking place. It's better information. You know, you can actually go in and see your holdings very easily as an institutional investor through the transfer agent. So we think that all of this technology is really taking something that's been a very manual process and bringing it into the 21st century with value for, you know, the issuers. The more attractive and tradable a security is, maybe the more attractive it is to issue more of it. So you'll start to see more issues, you'll start to see more liquidity, and you know, if you can have a piece of each trade, that's good money.
And where are you headed now? So you've got some of this stuff built, but as you said, you're still very, very
We're very early. We're very early on this specific liquidity around the secondary market. We're at the very beginning of our journey. So we're here at this very excellent Vertalo conference, talking to ATSs, trying to figure out the right way to go about doing this. We are a regulatory first group. We are of the vintage, my business partner and I, that we don't want to be doing anything running afoul of the law at this point. So what we're trying to figure out right now is really the right way to get regulatory compliant. Do we start off basically sort of more in a referral method where we're not actually making money off of the trades themselves, or do we actually bite the bullet, make a big investment in becoming regulatory compliant, including becoming a broker-dealer, and then actually start to try and make our money by having, you know, a piece of the trade ourselves.
Great. And so are you raising money now?
We are absolutely in fundraising mode right now. We're working on sort of a refining of our revenue model for our pitch deck, but we are absolutely interested in talking to anyone who would be interested in talking to us.
Where would they find more
They can go to Aerlink Co. That's AERLINKCO.com. Aerlinkco.com.
Aerlinkco.com.
Aerlink is also on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page as well.
Awesome. So they can check you out there. But until then, so great to meet you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
All right.